The lighting is gonna be weird, but like, bear with me. Nobody talks about how awkward it is to pose for freaking cameras, but we move. No, I feel my voice is so deep. Dude, I wore this sweater thinking it's gonna be cold. I'm actually feeling hot. Welcome higher, Barry Shikamo, if you're older than me. Welcome to this week's video. I'm glad you tuned in. Grab yourself. Do I want to be that YouTuber? Just thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. Yeah, I hope you like it. From the title you can tell we're obviously gonna be talking about a boy. But we move. Regardless, we move. Let's just jump right into the video. So let's give it context. This was a while ago, like 572 years ago, right? I was like 5, not exactly 5 years old. When you will notice when I reference I was like 5, it was like 9. We weren't exactly these ages. It's just to show you like how long ago it was. So I wasn't actually 5 years old, right? Okay. When we had just moved houses and he wasn't around. He was abroad or something. I'm not sure, but I just remember he wasn't around. But there was this thing, this thing. I feel like everybody experiences it. Whenever we move places, especially when we were kids, you would always have the children talking about the times when you weren't there. So that was like a common thing, reminiscing. When do you remember when this? Do you remember when that sort of vibe? But it's normal, right? So whenever they'd reminisce, he'd come into he'd show up in the stories. He'd be in not a lot, but in enough of the stories for me to like know that he existed. So I essentially knew of his existence before he knew of mine. What are we calling him? Let's call him Brush. Let's call him Brush. Brush. Let's call him Brush. So it's like, oh, yo, do you remember? Yeah, I remember Brush was so mad in that story. Oh, that sort of vibe. So I was like, I won't lie, I didn't really think of it in terms of, oh my God, who's this boy? No, it wasn't like that. How we then ended up meeting, it was so random. It wasn't a day we were all anticipating, oh, Brush is coming today. I can't wait for you to meet Brush. It wasn't like that. I remember we were just like chilling. I think we were chilling at the pool. Also, context. It was on a hill, and down at the very bottom of the hill, on a valley. Let me say valley because there was no mini. It was just like this. So at the valley, Apocini, we had the pool and like a few other blocks, and then there was at the top there, but there it was just like a lot of blocks and stuff. So we all hang out down at the pool, and remember he showed up, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, the Brush has come! He's around!" So everybody chucked from the pool and went to look up at the like hill, and we're like, "Oh my God!" Everybody, not me. I didn't know who this boy was. So we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's Brush, he's come, da. So he came, obviously, and those mad stories. He's like, oh yeah, this, blah, 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 talking about his travels and his endeavors. I don't freaking know, I can't remember, but I just remember everybody like wanting to hear his stories, which is expected. That's how people act, right? When this sort of situation is what's happening. Now, back in the day, your girl was, to say a bit, is lying. she was out here for boys. I was very, 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 not very, 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 but like I was quite excited when it came to boys. I was quite excited when it came to boys. We've grown. I'd like to say that I have grown. I am better now. It's not like that anymore, but I know I was out here for boys when I was younger. I'm saying this because I remember the day he came. I remember going back home, showering because we had some whatever. Going back home and in the shower telling myself, no, nothing is gonna happen with this boy. Nothing is gonna happen with this boy. This time it's gonna be different. Fast forward to, I think it was a few weeks later, but I remember when he came, there was that I see you. As I see you could be when we were like 5, but like there was that I see you see me, and I guess that's why I went back home and I was like, nothing's gonna happen with this boy, nothing's gonna happen with this boy, you know. That's first. Now, Brush had a way with words. He was, I wouldn't say he's the type to sell you oxygen, but he knew what he was doing. For a 9-year-old, he knew what he was doing, right? And it wasn't that one of poetic, and it's just like, because we know those, we know those boys, but they're you type of boys, we know you, and yeah. So he's not the angel, the stars, the moon, nothing like that. He was just those boys who, I know you know what I'm talking about when I say he had his ways work. Yeah. He had his ways work. Yeah. I know you know what I mean when I say he had his way with words, right? He was good. He knew what he was saying. He knew what to say when. I can't really remember how he asked me out, but I remember he asked me to be his girlfriend. He had his way with words, but if I recall properly, he wasn't the one who asked me out. I think he sent his sister. You remember that thing when we were kids? I don't know why we used to do this, but we never used to say things with our chest. We'd always send someone to, especially when it came to like this, like you like thing, this thing of like when you like someone. We always used to do this thing of like, let me send Nani, go and tell Nani that Nani, go and tell this person because of that this and this. I like him. Go and tell him. We never used to say things by ourselves. So that, I think that was what was going on. He sent his sister to ask me out. It was like, Brush likes you, something like that. It was along those lines. But I remember he was the first boy to ever ask me to be his girlfriend. Like, literally, could you be my girlfriend? You know? And not like it was, as I said, not that it was a big deal, but it was a big deal. Not that it was a big deal, but yeah. So he asked me out, and yeah, he asked me out. And I remember feeling exactly like how I've acted like 2 seconds ago, exactly like that the entire time. I did a madness because I was excited. I was excited that I had a boyfriend and that, it was him, you know. Then our relationship goes on. I think a few weeks later, it wasn't like a long period of time. A few weeks later, he comes home. Now, whenever he used to come home in a way, and then I always used to arrive before him. I always used to arrive before him when he used to come home. And there was this place we used to sit as kids when we used to, like, when you come home early and, you've had your 4 o'clock tea. Like, it was this long ago. And you've had, like, your 4 o'clock tea, blah, blah, blah. So we've gone back outside and we're all sitting there chilling and da, da, da. The car was here. We used to live on the same block, so our block was here. We were literally seated here, and then the rest of the estate is like down. So he used to come, he used to pass, I used to see him, or he'd come and then sit down with me here and be like, oh, so how was your day? You know what? I miss about being a child. The simplicity. Everything was so simple then. Like, it was so not complicated. It was just, how's your day? So what did you do? So that's what used to happen. That's what used to happen. Fast forward to a few weeks later, he comes home and just pitters. Man just passed. If I remember this correctly, he just passed, and I was like, I'm clearly missing something because we weren't going through a rough patch. We weren't going through something weird. Nothing had happened. I was confused. So as per usual, he goes up, his sister stays. And she tells me, she sits down with me and we're talking. And she's like, so Brush has decided to break up with you. As I said, this boy was the first boyfriend I ever had. So He dumped me. Just like that. Just like that. He didn't even tell me himself. He didn't even have the guts to face me himself. He sent his sister. I mean, his sister's probably the one who got us together, so he sent his sister to come and tell me he's dumping you. He's done with you. He doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. And I was like, okay. I remember it was just she gave me some dumb excuses, like they were not making sense at all. But we were kids, so we never used to dive into things. Do you get what, we never used to like try and figure things out. It was just she's broken up with you and you're like, fine. She was giving me some stupid excuses. I know they were stupid, but I couldn't be bothered to dive into it and blah 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 blah. It was what it was. And I was like, cool. Then then there came a time later on, I don't think it was too long ago after that, we were hanging out, I think as girls in the ACC. We were just like hanging out and talking, and then our relationship came up. And that's when his sister finally like said the truth, and she was like, oh, just so you know, it was his best friend. What do we call this guy? Cup. It was his best friend, Cup, who told him to break up with you. Now, I did not know this boy. You know that guy who everybody kind of knew him, yes, but it was certain he was a guy's guy. Guys used to like hang out around him and stuff like that, but like girls were like me. It was just yeah. Cup was not anybody's cup of tea. I did not even try. But yeah, he wasn't anybody's cup of tea. I had interacted with this boy 4 to 5 times max. And when I say interacted, it was like, hi, how are you? You're good? Great. Like, barely interacted with this kid. But he had such an opinion over me because he was like, so, I was going to say her real name. So, Brash's sister was like, oh, he was like, oh, you're not right for him. You don't fit the molds. What. I was just like, huh? Now, to think that I was like, I'm better now, yes. But like, even then, I wasn't bad. I mean, he asked me to be his girlfriend, so I was something. But I didn't fit the mold, I guess. Because, yeah, that was what? Now, you remember when we were kids, and I feel like it still happens now. Your estate life and your school life are two totally different worlds. Like, totally different worlds. So, I'd like to believe now, and later on I believed that it was just a lot of his school world was very overwhelming, and his best friend didn't want him to deal with me when he came home as well. That's what I told myself, and I ran with it, and to this day, that's what I ran with. I was like, you know what? It's whatever. We've established we were together. He asked me out. We got together. We broke up. The first time. Yes. The first time. Mind you, by the way, to this day, tell me if I'm wrong. If you're watching this video and you think I am wrong, tell me. But this is the only boy I recall dumping me. Like, bare, like, proper dumping me. Tell me if I'm wrong. Because I'm sure, as I said, most of the people who are watching my video right now know me. So tell me if I'm wrong, but this is the only dude I recall dumping me. And he was my friend. We move. So it's a few weeks, months, I don't freaking know. Just, it's later on in my life. As kids, it's a Saturday. I remember the sun was shining. It was a good day. We've all hung out during the day. We've done our deed. We've done our like playing and whatnot and whatever games, whatever. Now it's afternoon, and as in that estate, I remember it was like ritual. We'd hang out in the morning, then go for lunch, then spend the rest of the afternoon swimming. It just like was how it worked. So it's now swimming times. Now, Brush used to be in and out, right? He never used to be around all the time, but he used to be around sometimes, and So I don't remember whether we had agreed with him to go swimming, but I just remember he showed up. another bit of context. Back in my day, I was quite the swimmer. Just to say. And he showed up. Now, we had broken up, but it was awkward, but like, it was whatever. So, we're swimming. Then, I clock that he's here. You know when you can tell man is like, he's here. I say right, we move right. I say left, we move left. I say backwards, it's backwards. Let's do the butterfly. He is the butterfly. Like, he was here. He was in my peripheral. And I knew he was in my peripheral. Like, he was looking. I knew. So I did what I do best. I told you, back in the day, I was quite the swimmer. So I'm out here. I'm telling you, I was out. Ashley is doing her thing. I was just like, you know, when you're swimming and it's just like, yeah. In my head, I'd like to believe I was quite like majestic and like some freaking mermaid. Like, dude, I thought I was doing bits. And I think I was. I was. I'm telling you, it was just like, I was doing my thing, guys. Like, my thing. Because I knew he was looking, and I was like, yeah, do you like, this is what you're missing. This is what you decided doesn't fit in your work. Like, you know, I had a point to prove. I really didn't have any point to prove. But like, then, it's not I didn't have any point to prove. I didn't need to prove any point, but the point was proven regardless. It was proven regardless. And how I know it was proven is that, no, we're done to meet. In the evening, we're done to meet. We're walking back up. He calls me. And he's like, hi, Ashley. I'm like, hi, Rush. How are you this fine evening? Of course, I'm being comical. It wasn't exactly like this, but like, let's pretend it was. And he's like, I see you. You're doing well these days. You're doing good. And I'm like, yeah, you know, just trying to do my best. And he asked me out again. And I was sitting there, and I remember it was on that ledge. I told you, if I'm not wrong, I could be wrong about these details, but like, it was on that ledge, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll think about it, then I'll tell you. I'll give you my answer, but let me think about it. Do you know what thinking about it was? I called his sister, and we sat together, and we're like, nah, he has to get you this, he has to get you this, he has to do this, he has to do this, to prove, to like apologize, because you know, he took you through a lot. This man took you through enough. So I was like, no, he has to get me, if I can remember properly, he was like, I was sitting with the sister, and we're like, he has to get me candy, he has to get me flowers, and he has to get me like jewelry. Like, hey, Ashley. But it's good to know what you want, right? It's good to know. I'm not worth just these things, but it's good to like be out here for yourself. Let's tell each other that. Yeah, let me convince myself with that. It's good to know what you're about. So he and of course, we've established by this point, I think we've established that his sister was like our middleman. So she goes and she tells him, she's like, yeah, I assume this is how the conversation went. It probably didn't go like this, but she goes and she tells him, and she's like, yeah, Ashley is going to take you back, but there are terms and conditions that need to be applied. And he followed through. He accepted the terms and conditions that needed to be applied, because later on he came down. This night evening, he came down, and he had, I don't even know where he got these things. Actually, I do. He got them from his house, his sister's things or his mom's things. He was kid. Now I know better. Trust me. I was 5. I was 5. I know better now. I know better. And he came down, and he had all these things. He had candy. He had, was it a bracelet? I think it was a bracelet and flowers. All these things, I think he just gathered them from his house, because I remember even the bracelet was his sister's. I don't know if it was his older sister, but it was his sister's. I don't know why we did these things as kids. As I said, it was what it was. It was what it was. This was evening. He comes down. There used to be this place in this block. We used to have those basement apartments. So there was one basement apartment. Was it one? But there was this specific basement apartment that I remember kids used to go there and like do what kids do. Just kids used to do things there. Not the things you're thinking, yuck. But like, you know, it was private enough to experiment. All the words I'm saying are coming out so wrong, but I feel like you understand what I'm saying. So he took me down there. We went down there, and because we wanted to be alone. And he's like, dude, you know the way you remember certain conversations, and you're just like, why the flip did I say these things? I tried to tell myself I was like 5, so it's okay. But like, damn, like, wow, this is not a conversation I like to think about. Let me just say, can I say what? I remember him. I remember him asking me. Now we were just like talking, right? We're like reminiscing on the fact that we weren't together and now we are. So he's trying to get to know me all over again. That whole vibe. And we're standing, and he's like, okay, so Ashley, tell me. So he's like, so Ashley, tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And dude, I remember saying some stupid things. I remember saying something like, I want to be an ambassador. I think that's what I said. I was like, oh, yeah, I want to be an ambassador. And then he was a bit older than me, so he started asking me questions like, normal questions like, an ambassador for what? Like, and I don't know, those people who just live abroad and like represent. I didn't even say represent. I just remember. I don't like remembering, but like, yeah, it was what it was. But we hashed it all out. We talked everything. I told him how it was stupid what his best friend did. He agreed it was stupid, blah, blah, blah. Brush and I are now back together. He's now my boyfriend all over again. And things were good. I remember in the relationship doing a madness. Doing a madness in the sense of, I am out here for you, my man, and you need to know that I am out here for you. You get me? Though you think about things that you did and you're just like, I really didn't need to do that. It really was not that deep. It wasn't that deep. But I remember doing a madness when it came to this boy. That's a story for another day. Or a story for never, really. A story for never. Because it's already a madness enough. We move. Life goes on. Life is good. I have a boyfriend. Our relationship was as childish as a relationship can be when you're dating a 9-year-old and you're 5, right? So your mind should be there. Now, for the grand finale. We're about done. I'm sorry, I know the video is long, but it's a Katamu story. Don't even lie, it's a Katamu story. Grand finale. There were these other girls in the estate that we were all boys. We were all boys. So there was this other, not boys as in boys, but like we were all friends. I don't know why I needed to. Yeah, we were all friends. So there were these other girls. Let's call them Chichi and Chachi. Chichi and Chachi were sisters. Chichi and Chachi had a friend over. What do we call her? It's not her fault. Tile. Let's call this friend Tile. It's not her fault, actually. It's not her fault. So Chichi and Chachi have Tile over. And I remember, again, all these days were sunny. Or was it not? Maybe that's why they went swimming in the evening. But yeah, Chichi and Chachi had Tile over. We were all hanging out as Nini. I've met Tile, and we were all sitting and talking stories, just doing what girls do when they're together, right? Doing what girls do. And I remember it became evening. I don't know, maybe it was a cool day, But I remember them deciding to go swimming in the evening. Now, my mama raised me in a way that swimming in the evening just wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing. It reaches a certain time, you can't come into the house until you're changing into your costume. You're going down to swim. That's not how she worked. So I couldn't swim. And I remember it pissed me. You know, when everybody's doing something and then you're the one kid who can't. Actually, it wasn't just me. But like you, as a kid, again, and context, FOMO. I struggled. I still kind of struggle, but nowadays I think I'm a bit better. But like FOMO was a big thing. So we go downstairs. They're swimming. Brush's sister was amongst us as well, so she was swimming as well because I remember her parent was like really cool, was like really chill about things. So she's swimming as well. Brush shows up. The exact way that I got this man to look at me was the exact way he then stopped looking at me. And he was doing this thing to, like, with his chest to my face. It's not like I was somewhere hiding, looking, and I was like, oh, you know, he doesn't know I'm looking at him. He will know the day. Da, da, da. He was doing this thing to my face because I remember we were swimming and our swimming pool was that estate swimming pool was in a way that we could all hang out when someone is swimming. We were all hanging out there. Some of us were swimming, some of us weren't. Majority, I think, was. So everybody's chilling. Brush was clearly like feeling her vibe. I told you the exact way I got this man was the exact way. I don't know, maybe swimming pools were his thing. Or to be exact, it's seeing girls in swimming costumes. Maybe that was his thing. I don't freaking know. But like, he went the exact same way he came. But he was doing this thing to my face. He was like literally flirting with this girl and feeling her vibe. You know, mine, he wasn't swimming. I was putting on the show for him. Sounds mad. But like really, I was. This time, they were both Danyamaji, Pamoja, like freaking octopuses just. And as I said, he was doing this thing to my face. As I said, I wasn't hiding. I wasn't somewhere looking at him from a distance. Nah. Boo. I was right there. Now, I think she knew he was my boyfriend. Maybe that's why I'm bitter. I don't know whether she knew. I'm not too sure. But, you know, they were doing their thing and it was right to my face. And I remember sitting down and talking to this other guy friend of mine. And the entire time, this was the only thing we were talking about. We're just looking and this boy, I remember him just constantly being like, you're seeing what has happened. You're seeing. Yeah, me, I'm seeing. You're seeing the way he's holding it. He just kept talking about the situation. But bless his heart, I don't blame him because even me, I was there like, dude, I see it. It sucks. Look at him. It was just the entire situation was so disheartening. And I don't know why. I sat through the entire thing. Now, I would have just left. I would have just like left. But I sat and I watched the entire thing happening right in front of my eyes. And I was like, I'd be really mean to myself if I saw this thing happening and I do nothing. Do I not like myself? Do I not? So I remember just sitting and talking to this friend of mine and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to break up with him. The whole conversation was just, yeah, I see what's happening and I think I'm going to break up with him. I don't think. So and then the entire time I tell you, Brush was just doing his thing with this girl and it was what it was. Niggas ain't shit. Like, people really are not out here for you the way you think they're out here for you. That's the lesson for today's video. Like, damn. Nobody is out here for you like you are out here for you. Maybe God. Actually, God is out here for you more than you. But like in terms of human beings, nobody's got you like you've got you. Just keep that in mind. That's the lesson for this week's video. So he did that. And now we're done swimming. Whoever is done swimming, it's now like it's dark. People are walking up. I told you we lived up the hill. So most of us are walking up the hill. And I remember this kid. This kid was a bit too eager to end my relationship. To say the truth, he was a teeny bit too eager to end my relationship. And he's like, "You want me to tell him? I'm gonna tell him. You want me to tell him for you? I'm going to tell him. Ashley, how could he do this to you?" He was just like, hyping me up. I don't know what. He was hyping me up. And I remember eventually I just gave in, and I was like, I didn't give in. I had decided this a long ass time ago. It was just how to do it. I guess that I was still like trying to figure out, but I had already decided this is done. Like, how do you disrespect me like that? How do you disrespect me like that? How? Anyway, I told him go ahead. And sure enough, I've never seen this kid running as fast as he freaking did. But he ran. And he was like, and they were quite ahead of us. This boy, Brush, he wasn't even walking with me going back. But walking back, I was walking with this other guy friend of mine. Brush was in front doing his thing with Tile. I think he had also decided he's done with me, I guess. The situation was what it was. It just was what it was. So I remember him walking up. Brush was all the way there talking to his new woman. And yeah, I just remember my guy friend going and telling him, and Brush like literally just looking down back at me like this. He just looked back, and I remember just being like, you showing me just like, maybe not like that. I was very sad. I'm not gonna lie, I was very sad. I was close to crying. Like, I was very sad. Because this kid kept disrespecting me. He kept doing it. He just... Oh, Ashley, it's okay. So he looked back. I kind of gave him the signal of, yeah, I'm kind of just done with this. I'm over it. And that's how our relationship ended.
I look jacked up, but that's besides the point. It is editor Ashley here. I've just realized at the end there, our relationship didn't just end like that. He didn't just go away. Up there, I remember he waited for me to come. Yes, I am going to tell you all these things because, yeah. So he waited for me to come, and then this man tried to talk to me, and he's like, "Oh, so have you decided to actually end the relationship? Have you decided that this is actually the end of things?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, what do you expect?" Yeah, that's what I had to say. He waited. He waited for me to explain to him why I was breaking up with him, and I just went home and I cried. But I'm better now. We grow, we evolve. See, that's the point. We've grown, we've learned, we move. Okay, bye now. I feel like I've talked enough. Goodbye.
Now I remember after that, things became very awkward, very awkward. And believe it or not, I met this boy of a man. You know what? No hard feelings. I met him later on in life as well, and he did the madness again. But that's a story for maybe never. Maybe never. But yeah, I met him again. And oh, by the way, I think he asked this girl out. He asked her out that very day I broke up with him. That very day, he asked her out to be his girlfriend. How their relationship ended, I didn't care for. So I don't even know. But I remember he asked her to be his girlfriend. Niggas ain't shit. Like, anyway, not to end this story time on a bad note, but I just thought, as I said, this thing happened like 562 years ago, so it's not like, oh, I'm holding this thing so dearly. Bless his heart wherever he is. Like, I hope he's doing well. But yeah, that's the story time for this time. This is the one time I remember a guy dumping me, for one, and then I think he dumped me again. He pretty much dumped me again with the way he acted. He pretty much dumped me again, but it's okay. It's okay. At least the first time he had the chance to like tell me himself. Yeah, at least he had the guts to like tell me himself. Anyway, have yourself a good week. I hope this story like it just I don't know. It's a good story. I hope you liked the video. I enjoyed making it. As I said, I love talking. Expect more story times because, as I said, I talk a lot. I talk a lot. So expect more story times. Expect more content. I will try to do once a week. Dude, YouTube is not easy. I'll try and remove videos consistently. Maybe once in every 2 weeks. Let me be kind to myself. So expect videos every 2 weeks. Once every 2 weeks. Every other week. Yeah, I feel like that's fair. It's been your girl, Ashley Ruth Kwe. Peace, love. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Thank you so much. I felt like I had to say that. If you liked it, share it with your friend, share it with the other friend, Yeah. So it's been your girl, Ashley Ruth Kwe. Peace, love. I'm out.